So our second match of the night in vision there, 2012 world champion John Roe partnering Chloe Payne. Their opponents Curtis Lee and Charlee McDonough. John Roe has got one of the biggest breaks in the game. He's going to demonstrate that very well, although not so well because he's found the corner pocket with the cue ball.
Yeah, and just a sledgehammer of a break. It does go straight enough. The cue ball has some air time before eventually going straight enough, but he did unfortunately go straight into that top left corner, and this is a great chance here for Curtis and Charlie. I think what we'll find with Curtis and Charlie is they will talk to each other all the way through. It's interesting to see, you know, in the singles and things like that, whether the partner comes up and gives some pointers. I think we will find that with Curtis and Charlie, that they'll kind of talk each other through most of the shots.
There's a big difference, isn't there, in the way people approach it. Some partnerships leave each other to it. I think much more so in this mixed pairs than perhaps in the normal pairs cup. We've seen it be quite a collaborative team affair for most players.
I feel like this is the key shot here. If Curtis can just hold this, pop this yellow into the top left and hold for the one in the centre. I feel like this opening frame should be theirs, straight into the heart of the pocket. As we were saying in the interviews here, Curtis may be unknown to some, but a great player.
Yeah, I know it's only a small sample size, but he was just so clinical in the practice. He's one of those players, you see a few shots and you think this guy is a great cueist. It's not always easy. It gets much more disjointed sometimes when you're out in the match itself. It's a question of whether he can continue that fluency. Played a sensible shot there. Could have tried to play tighter position, but knew that as long as he left it relatively straight, this was a very makeable shot to the middle. Well, that's a quicker start to the match. Only 2.5 minutes used up this time. Curtis Lee and Charlee McDonough straight on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and that'll settle, in particular, it'll settle Charlie. I think Charlie just felt a little bit nervous in before the match, understandably. I think it's the lights and the stage. You know, when you're on TV, it's a big occasion, so that'll really settle her. And then we'll see Curtis's break now.
Frame 2, 36 break. Bleed in 1 frame to now.
Nicely struck break. You can see him giving himself the extra time to just make sure he had that lined up perfectly.
Yeah, the cue ball here, if you just see this replay, is a bit wild. Gets the cue ball coming back. It looks like it potentially was going to go into the right centre and ends up safe. Just having a look, it doesn't look like he's got the easiest of starters, unless he's going to take the yellow into the left centre. It's potentially taking the red into the top left, knowing that it's a bigger bag. So I quite like that shot.
Yeah, exactly as you called. And he did need the big bag, but he always had that red there to help the second ball in.
Yeah, I think the key here now will be the red and the yellow that seem tied up. I think the red does pass into the top left. Curtis would love to get on it soon. I think it will be his next shot if he can get there. Just as he's looking, it's like like he might have a little bit too much angle to get there from this ball.
You know pretty much for sure with this format that you're only going to get one singles frame. It's theoretically possible you could get a second one, but it does put the added pressure on. You want to go out and show what you can do. For a player of Curtis's calibre, he's going to feel like he wants to guarantee this frame, particularly with the 1-0 lead already.
Yeah, and after this shot we'll figure out what Curtis is going to do. If he's going to just land, I'd like him to land behind the red rather than going into it and leave the one left centre for his last ball. That'll just be how he sees it.
Generally it doesn't pay you to play any cannons you don't need to. Yeah, and he's followed your advice. It's come up a little bit short. The only problem with this is that he's going to get mixed up potentially with that yellow, and then just got to judge the cannon to make sure it doesn't get in the way of his final ball. Should still be fine. The pot itself is easy enough. It's just a case of getting the white through and not getting stuck in behind the yellow.
Yeah, so much so he's actually just going to leave himself the wrong side of this ball and leave himself a little bit more distance and trust his cue in.
You saw an appreciative tap there. That was a good shot. He had to really nip into that to avoid the cannon. Even though he hasn't got the perfect angle, he was guaranteeing the shot. As he backs his potting, he seems like a very high quality potter. These ones are just a bit awkward when you're close to the cushion. If you're playing this kind of shot where you can get to the whole cue ball and you've got a hand on the table, they're a whole lot easier.
I think you'll see him stun on and off the cushion here. Just hit it a bit more comfortable. Yeah, and that's a great finish there, and that's 2-0 to Curtis and Charlie, and Chloe has not had a shot. John has had a break, and we're on the third frame.
So it's been a different pattern, hasn't it? These two have really come out looking purposeful. See the one off-table couple as well, supporting each other out there. It's a whole lot of fun when you're playing an event like this where you get your first 2 frames on the board in that kind of style.
Frame 3. John Roe to break. Trading 2 frames to nil.
And the white is safe this time. Just an unbelievable break from John again.
John's game is all about the quality of that break. When he's breaking well, he gives himself so many first visit chances. He's a great player as well. All aspects of his game are very strong, but when he's playing well, he just blasts people away.
Good play.
It looks like another really good chance, especially if the 8 ball goes, which I think I've just seen from the overhead it does. So I fancy John to get these. There's always a different pressure, isn't there, playing with and for someone else. Ordinarily John would be odds on to mop these up, but yeah, there's just a little niggle in the back of your head that you're doing this with someone else.
Yeah, and it's obviously in his head because he mentioned that as well. He played with his son Jaden in the Pairs Cup back in July. They didn't play badly by any means, but it wasn't a vintage night for them. I think he probably felt a bit of pressure. His son was less experienced. Hopefully they still had a good time, but exactly as you say, it's when you're thinking it's somebody else's hopes and dreams in your hands, it is a different game. So we see that red stay over the pocket.
Yeah, and these are still tricky for Charlie. I think what I would potentially like is take the one to the top right and try and get onto the bottom cushion, play the loss of turn and leave the white behind the yellow that's just off and further up the table. I think that might be a good choice here. think Charlie's taking the loss of turn but going the other way in terms of trying to hide that white.
Loss of turn.
I'm not sure she's fully got the coverage here. John may even be able to see the potting angle of this. What we can see is just slightly swerving around the yellow. See Curtis there giving Charlie some advice just to take this up to the top corner and leave the white safe. Just a little laugh there from Charlie. I don't think she meant to pot that.
Extension. Extension call. Cancel that extension. No extension.
The way that Charlie has played this, I'm wondering if the 8-ball does go. Just as we see Curtis come and have a little look round. Looks quite tight from our camera, our overhead camera, but the way that Charlie's taking these balls out, the 8-ball must comfortably go. Yeah, you can see that there from our camera angle. It does go. Just needs to be mindful and would love to be very close to it as well to give it the best opportunity.
And there we see, good view of that shot. Can she squeeze that 8-ball round? Oh, that's a brilliant shot. How little space did she have to work with there, and just slotted it in absolutely dead weight.
This has been a clinical start from both Curtis and Charlie. I'm not sure we've seen a missed pot. Charlie's played a safety and played it well, and after that has cleared.
I've been so impressed with both of them, but with Charlie in particular, as a player with slightly less experience in this kind of situation. She's ranked 22nd on the women's Challenger division, which I mean, isn't by any means bad, but she's had one quarter-final there. You could be forgiven for assuming that she wouldn't quite be able to produce this level, but she's produced such a high standard of play in quite a pressured environment here.
Yeah, I'm not sure Charlie's entered all of them. I think that might be what that ranking's saying. But definitely a great player and ex-England junior player as well. Actually qualified for England when she was, I think she was 15. So has been around for a long time. And I think now, especially being down with Curtis in Wales, they're practicing a lot more, entering a lot more tournaments, and her game's really, really coming on.
It's the ideal situation, isn't it? When you've got a common interest and when you're both good at it already, it just spurs you on to play more. And this is a nice chance for them to both play, regardless of the fact they're a couple. They just seem a good pairing on the table anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this is a lot trickier in terms of a finish, but we may get through a match and Chloe hasn't seen the table, which must be frustrating from her point of view, but also not much you can do, and you just sat there in your seat, just kind of got to admire what you're watching.
Yeah, it's always easier said than done, isn't it? You just feel a bit hard done by. But this isn't, so far though, a match where Chloe is going to have anything to really be concerned about, because the quality of play from the opposition, I mean, you've just got to hand it to them and say that they've really turned up when it mattered. Oh, how's this for another great pot?
Yeah, that was brilliant. And the reason Charlie's taking it down there is because, well, for one, they are 3-0 up with 5 minutes left, so they are feeling really good out there. But secondly, if she'd have rolled that in, they wouldn't have had a next shot. So really, really good shot there from Charlie.
Chime in the background means we're in the last 5 minutes of the match, so down to the 15-second shot clock.
Curtis has just got into that a little bit too much. Just telling Charlie to use three cushions here and just try and get close to that red. Just to see an unfortunate nudging off.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate nudge. She wasn't going to be in prime position either way, but could that be the lifeline that John and Chloe needed? They needed to get to the table and they needed to get there quickly. They have theoretically got time. They've got to win at least 3 frames to get anything out of this match, but there is enough time just. This is what you've got to be ready for. As we were saying, Chloe had just been sat in a chair looking on at this match, but then when you're called into action, it all happens very quickly. Slightly hampered over the 8-ball here, but good pot in the end from John.
John just pointing his cue there, so you can just float it down for the left centre.
Wow, what a good clearance that was, and what an important clearance. There was a moment when the clock dipped under 5 minutes when it looked like they could go on to lose the match 4-0 or just get frozen out and not have enough time. But that in-off, just throwing them a glimmer of hope. It's going to be John Roe up next. You can see his name on the scoreboard behind him. If he can just get a quick early opportunity, 2-frame cushion at the moment, but it'll be back on if he can get 1 more frame back.
Yeah, and I think in the match we've had two mistakes. John has rattled the red in the top left, and Charlie, I mean, can't really call it a mistake, which has come off 3 cushions and got an unfriendly nudge into the corner. This has been probably the highest standard mixed match that I've seen.
Yeah, it's been a great match, and it's a chance to carry on being a great match because John's come up with a characteristically good break. If he could find a finish from here, there will be just about enough time for a final frame. Oh, is that ball going to drop? No, it isn't. The red 4-ball hangs over the corner pocket.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting here just to see. Is Curtis going for the... Sorry, it looked like Curtis was going to go for the red there and make a big error just as the white goes in.
2 consecutive in-offs from this pairing, and again, it's the lifeline that John needed. Made a mistake of his own, hanging that ball over the pocket, but now he's back in play. The time is running down though. He's going to have not a great deal more than a minute left after he's finished this clearance, and it's going to be the opposition pairing. It's going to be Charlee McDonough breaking in the next frame. So there's something about your opponents coming back though when you've had a big lead. So in some ways you kind of like the position that John and Chloe are in here. They're going to be feeling positive even though they're still a frame behind. If John can just get this 8-ball. Good clearance from John Roe, and importantly he did it quickly. The clock stops at 1:37, which is plenty. As Chloe Payne reaches for her playing cue, she knows that if she gets a chance early on in this frame, there may be a way of getting the scores back onto level terms.
Yeah, I was just thinking there when Curtis came to the table, not that he would have done anything differently. He just is gone enough. But whether he's had much experience with, well, probably not with a 15-second shot clock, but equally with a match clock, and just how to manage that. It's a good break there from Charlie, and Charlie and Curtis just need to remain at the table now, really. They're in control. They don't need to push the boat out. Remember, they've got their extension, and
yeah, it's exactly that, isn't it? Once you've popped the ball off the break in this situation, it's so valuable because you can just go for a few easy balls. It's a bit close to the pocket than she wanted, but that's fine. It's a strange situation, this. There are very few times in pool at any kind of level where just potting the loose balls would ever be a good idea. But here, that really is all she needs to do. Just pot 3 or 4 easy balls and she'll have used up enough time that even if she does miss, Chloe won't have time for a counter clearance. This match effectively over now.
I've been really impressed with Charlie in this match. She looks really composed. She knows exactly what she's doing on the shot clock. She's waiting for the beeps on her shots, and it's just been really, really clinical.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about this pairing. It's going to be a competitive group tonight because there's a lot to like about all the pairings in different ways. But it is going to be Curtis Lee and Charlee McDonough that get the job done. Got off to a blistering start in that match. Got a little bit nervous at the end. The full clock was used up. It looked like they could win 4-0, but they get the job done and they get their first win of the night on the board.